Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to call this regular meeting of the City of Pasco Code Enforcement Board to order. These proceedings are being presented live on PSC-TV cable channel 191 and will be rebroadcast throughout the following month. The Code Enforcement Board conducts public meetings to hear issues regarding alleged violations of the city code and in particular property maintenance standards. For those present, if you're given an opportunity to address the board tonight, we ask you speak clearly into the microphone at the podium. State your name and address for the record, and I'd like to request you brought a cell phone tonight if you'd please turn that off. Thank you, and we will now have roll call.
Mr. Thomas Groma. Present. Mr. Daniel Gottschalk.
Present.
Miss Mary Gutierrez.
Present.
We have 3 members present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. The next item of business on tonight's agenda is the approval of the minutes from the October 3rd, 2019 meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I move that the minutes of the October 3rd, 2019 meeting of the Code Enforcement Board be approved as mailed.
There's a second.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the minutes as they were mailed. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will now hear the cases scheduled for tonight, November 7th, 2019 at 7 p.m. for alleged violations of the Pasco Municipal Code. The City of Pasco is a petitioner. Property owners and their authorized representatives here to address the city's charges are the respondents. The purpose of these hearings is to determine whether the city, by a preponderance of the evidence, has proven that the violation charged has occurred upon certain properties owned or controlled by the respondents, and if so, whether the required corrective action is reasonable and whether a monetary penalty is appropriate. The hearing procedures are as follows. First, the chair will open the hearing, which is being recorded. To ensure the accuracy of testimony, each person who will be testifying tonight shall be sworn to truthfulness. Second, the city has a burden of proof and shall present its case, including any and all witnesses and exhibits that are relevant to the case. The respondents may cross-examine the city and the city's witnesses. Third, the respondent shall present their case, including any witnesses and exhibits that are relevant to the case. The city may cross-examine the respondent's witnesses. Fourth, the city will have the opportunity for rebuttal of the respondent's evidence raised in their case, and the respondent may answer the city's rebuttal. Fifth, after all the evidence is in the record, the hearing will be closed. Remember, this is the only opportunity to present evidence in your case tonight. And then sixth, the board members will then discuss the charges and facts and evidence presented and render a decision. A copy of our decision will be mailed to all parties within 10 working days of the hearing.
Mr. Chair, we're ready to hear tonight's cases. Before we begin, will you please explain the procedure for providing testimony and swearing all city staff, respondents, and any other witnesses who have appeared here tonight to offer testimony?
Yeah, sure will. Testimony can only be received at the microphone. When you address the board, please state your name and address at the beginning of your testimony. If you have written materials that you wish to be considered, please present them to be marked as an exhibit. It will become part of the hearing record. Are there any questions to the procedure at all tonight, folks? Okay. Are there any objections to any member of this board hearing your matter due to your belief that any one of us may have a conflict of interest or the appearance of one? And if so, please indicate that objection now or it will be considered waived. Okay. We'll now swear in the witnesses who will testify in these proceedings. Would all city staff, respondents, anybody that's going to come up and talk to us, please stand and raise your right hand. If you're going to come up and talk to us, stand up, raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth in these proceedings? If so, please respond, I do. Thank you. You may be seated. The city will now present their first case.
Mr. Chair, our first case is CEB 2019-0709. Mr. Povin, will you please present your case?
.203 North 4th Ave, case number CEB 2019-0709. I have supplied the board with pictures of the original and current property conditions with the date clearly marked on the pictures. The property known as 203 North 4th Ave was inspected on 6/20/2019. Violations of the Pasco Municipal Code were observed, and a correction notice was issued on 6/23/2019 for window signs covering more than 25% of the window. As you can see in this picture, on the north side, which is on the left, and the west side is on the right, the window signs or window panes are covered 100% which is over that allowed 25% for signage. These pictures were collected on 6/20/2019. Here's a closer photo of both the north and west side again. A re-inspection of the property revealed that it was still in violation of the Pasco Municipal Code, and a notice of civil violation was issued on 10/10/2019. The property owners were legally notified via certified mail on 10/23/2019 of the conditions which I believe to be in a violation of the Pasco Municipal Code. The west side was corrected, but the north side still has the same style of window signs covering up 100% of the window pane. And these are the current photos as of 11/06/2019. This violation has not been corrected based on the final inspection of the property, which was completed on 11/4/2019. It is in my opinion that the property is not in compliance with the Pasco Municipal Code at this time. The City of Pasco recommends that Washington Insurance Agency, Inc. Shall be given 10 days to correct any remaining violations or pay a penalty of $50 a day per day for 10 days.
All right, thank you. Who'd like to be heard in this case? Come on up, if you would mind to state your name and address for the record, please.
Yesenia Celestino, address to the business 203 North 4th Avenue. And I'm the business owner of that building, and I agree 100% with what Nick has mentioned in regards to the notice. I was very well aware of the notice, and it reads, window signs cover more than 25% of the windows, was a violation description. The picture of the site that was corrected, would you mind putting it back on? So the site that was corrected, it's not showing. So my understanding is that the windows were corrected. He is mentioning that the left picture, which are doors, have not been corrected, but those are doors, they are not windows. So therefore, we did make the corrections based on what we were told and based on the city code. But it is my understanding that if it's a door and you're walking through it, it is not a window. So therefore, there is no violation, to my opinion.
Staff, would you give us clarification on that?
Yeah, so as you can see, I provided the definitions for exterior and interior window signs. Since it is a window pane still on the door, it would be considered along with a window sign. And if it's an interior, any inside glass that's on or in close proximity to the window that may be viewed by persons outside of the building is considered a window sign. And since it's advertising, any form of decals, embols, paint, exposed, that's also on a window pane, which would be considered that as a window sign.
Okay. Did that make sense to you?
I'm looking at what I received by mail, and
Okay.
it does not provide that definition. It only specifies window. When we made the correction and we approached Nick over email to ask why he was still sending the second letter with a violation, then he provided the word door windows, which is nowhere to be found on the code, which I'm being cited on. That definition I wasn't able to find online through the Pasco Municipal Code, where it talks about, and again, I don't work for the city, so it was tough to find the section where it talks about the 25%, but this definition was nowhere to be found when I did my research. And then I would also like to add that the business, my business was one of the few that have gone through the downtown Pasco facade improvement, and the city approved several of the facelift that we did to the building, the paint, the awnings. At the same time, this what I consider signage went up, and there was plenty of inspections done. Nothing of it came up at that time. It's been over 6 years since that was put on, and it wasn't cheap. So if it was just a piece of paper or something that we made by hand, I wouldn't be here driven 3.5 hours to be here tonight to
Yeah.
explain my case. It was professionally done, and again, I'm following, I believe, the guideline. It is not the window, it is the door.
So you understand all they want you to do is just fix the doors, right? They're not like trying to fine you anything right now unless you don't do that.
Right.
Would you be able to do that?
I would have to pay money, and I paid close to $4,500 to get that on
On the doors?
the doors. So I paid a professional graphic designer to provide the signage, and then the printing and the installation. So that is one of the reasons why I'm here. I would hate to take it off. I mean, if you look. Oh, and by the way, this letter you said that was mailed to us, we never received it. We did receive the notice of everything, the two
So-
other letters.
The city of Pasco sends annually this general notice to all business licenses in the city of Pasco. So regardless of where you're at, it's linked to the license, so it's sent out by mail.
There's another business owner that is in the building that she also didn't receive it because that was new to us. But not that that matters that much. But I would hate to take off the signage if it's not a window.
Well,
I mean, the windows have been corrected.
Even if it's a large banner across the entire face of the building, it still can't be more than 25%.
right. Go ahead, Mary.
Do you understand
I'm sorry, go ahead.
that it's 25% of the window, window, it's gotta be 25%.
So why wasn't this definition sent to us so that we would have had a better understanding of this? Because when you sent the letter, you only talked about windows.
Right. I mean, our definitions it's still in our Title 17. So when you're looking up what the definition of a window is, our window sign, whether it be exterior or interior, it would be listed in there. It's not a part of our corrective action, our violation correction notice. But it is within our Title 17 of the Pasco Municipal Code.
Do you see any way that you can make a modification on to get it down to that amount? Do you see that possible at all? I know it's inconvenient. You paid a lot of money for it, but it's in there. And the fact that you didn't know it doesn't mean that that can't be applied to you. It's like with anything. There's a lot of laws that are in place that we don't know about until the police pull you over and tell you. So we need to do something about the window or the doors that have the glass in them.
So
Well, the windows have been, the actual windows have all been cleared so that it meets the 25% rule.
Board, I did receive an email. We did have an email exchange, and she asked questions concerning what's allowed and what's not allowed. I sent back prior to the code board being scheduled, explaining more in depth the definition and what it means, or briefly telling her that the window signs are considered, since they're glass window panes, it's still a window, that it would have to be 25% of the square footage of that window, or window pane or glass.
Because what the city is looking at, my hope is that we can figure that out somehow. Otherwise, they give you 10 days to correct it, or they want to fine you $50 a day for 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, was the designer a local designer who would be familiar with the city standards, or was it an outside vendor? Or
He's the same designer that he's not local, and he's the same one that put together the Cinco de Mayo last logo. Mm-hmm. Is there any way we can compromise?
We have to go by what the code says, unfortunately. I mean, look, if it was me, it looks great. I've been past your businesses many times, but it is what it is. And the code is the code. And
Would it be, is it, Nick, 25% in general of it, if, would it be a combination of all the window panels
So the window panel itself,
itself?
yeah, whatever the square footage of each individual one, 25% of that square footage would have to be, or it would be the maximum allowed coverage.
So the city is giving you 10 days. What do you foresee in getting it done? Do you need an extension on those 10 days?
Let me have 30 days. Would that be okay?
30 days?
we can
We'll talk about it.
We can talk about it.
Okay. Any more questions?
Anything else?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming. There being no further evidence to be presented, regarding this matter, I determine the record complete. The hearing is now closed and no additional evidence will be permitted. The board will now discuss the charges, facts, and evidence presented. Then we will render a decision. First off, do we agree by preponderance of the evidence that the city has proven that a violation of the Pasco Municipal Code has occurred? May I have a motion one way or the other, please?
I move that the board, having heard the case and facts presented, and by the preponderance of the evidence presented, find the respondent in violation of the Pasco Municipal Code.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None are opposed. The motion carries. May we now have a motion to determine a date for compliance and appropriate monetary penalty, if any?
So I don't have a problem going with 30 days.
Yeah.
And staying with the city recommendation and just moving that to 30.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
that
ahead.
sounds fair to me.
You want to do the motion, Mary?
Well,
Okay, I move a compliance time frame of 30 days and a monetary penalty of $50 per day be imposed for a period of 10 days in the case if this time frame expires and the property is still in violation.
Is there a second?
30 days.
I did say 30, didn't I?
But you finished it.
You want to do it again?
Oh, sorry.
I thought you said 30.
At the end, he said 10.
Oh, well, go ahead and do it again, Thomas.
Okay, sorry.
Do it one more time for us.
Yep.
Just so we're clear. You're on the right one.
Yeah.
though.
I move a compliance time frame of 30 days and a monetary penalty of $50 per day be imposed for a period of 10 days in the case if the time frame expires and the property is still in violation.
Perfect. Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are going to give you the 30 days, ma'am, from the time you get the notice. Hopefully you can get that taken care of. A copy of the decision will be mailed to you. Thank you for your participation in the hearing tonight. Can we hear the next case, please?
Mr. Chair, our next case is CEB 2019-0956. Ms. Johnson, will you please present your case?
The property known as 723 East B Street, owned by Marco and Adelina Acevedo and Octavio Rodriguez, was inspected on September 4th, 2019. Violations of the Pasco Municipal Code were observed. A notice to vacate was issued on September 5th, 2019 due to the premises being occupied without a certificate of occupancy. A notice of civil violation was also issued on September 5th, 2019 due to multiple other code violations observed. On September 5th, 2019, I posted a copy of each notice on the front door of the shop. I spoke with Burnaby Madrigal on site, who is the owner of the semi-trucks located there. Mr. Madrigal stated that Octavio Rodriguez has allowed him to park his vehicles there, but was not paying rent and wasn't running a business, just working on his company trucks. I handed him a copy of the notices since he was the occupant of the premises and the structure. We walked together through the property and in the pole building discussing the violations. I notified him that the building was to be vacated by 4 p.m. that day and all vehicles removed. I also notified him that the property could not be used until the owner completed all required improvements and passed permit inspections. Mr. Madrigal stated that he understood and we began removing everything immediately. I asked him if anyone was staying in the RV that was hooked up to water and power and he said no. There were not any active services at the location, and the RV was only being used for breaks and cooking lunches. He was given the business card for Troy Hendren, the building official, to have the property owner contact him to discuss. On September 5th, 2019, Octavio Rodriguez came to the building counter. He stated that he wasn't aware there was a bathroom in the shop, but would return the following day to submit a permit application. Mr. Rodriguez came to the building department counter again on October 8th, 2019 to speak with me. He stated that no one was occupying the building and that he was the only one going in and out. He stated Mr. Madrigal was at the premises, not using the building, and would not be leaving. Mr. Rodriguez did not agree with the violations and scheduled an appearance for tonight's hearing. As of today, a permit application has not been submitted for this structure. Mr. Rodriguez has been involved in numerous permitted projects throughout City of Pasco, including construction of single-family dwelling units and commercial structures where a certificate of occupancy and right-of-way improvements are required. Based on the final inspection of the property, which was completed on November 6, 2019, it is my opinion that the property is not in compliance with the Pasco Municipal Code at this time. I have supplied the board with pictures of the original and the current property conditions with the date clearly marked on the pictures. So we do have issues here of no dust control. The building was for a shell only without any insulation. We had only rough-in plumbing approved. There was not to be any drywall or electrical in there, which has been added since the last inspection was done at the property, which was back in 2017. So we don't have any certificate of occupancy. It cannot be occupied. They have not done any of the right-of-way improvements that are required by engineering department and Title 12 of the PMC. No off-street parking, no active business license for any business activities, and some weeds in the right-of-way. So the City of Pasco is recommending that Marco and Adelina Acevedo and Octavio Rodriguez immediately discontinue all business activities, vacate the structure, and be given 10 days to remove the weeds, vehicle parts, and debris throughout, apply appropriate dust control measures, and apply for a building permit or pay a penalty of $500 a day for 10 days.
All right, thank you. Who'd like to be heard in this case? Come on up, sir. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Octavio Rodriguez. The property address is 723 B Street here in Pasco. A lot of the violations they mentioned in here, they're not have evidence to support them. I got pictures when she says I had a lot of weed in the property. The only weed you see in the property is in the neighbor's property. I got pictures with the code. That one, if you see, it's my pin right here. The weed is in the neighbor's property, not my property. And then I didn't finish the sidewalks and approaches because the engineering department, they're trying to make me to do the whole street around. And I have 4 properties around mine, 3 without sidewalks, and they have businesses. They're running. They're the same time that I applied for the building. The ones after I applied for my building, they have no sidewalk, no street, and they live in a property. And they just finished another one last week that I got proofs with pictures here too. They only allowed them to do the partial of this asphalt. For us to pay a street like $60,000 for a building that cost us $10,000 to build, it's unfair. And not just that, the rest of the people, they don't have sidewalks, they don't finish the street. Why are they making me do it? And another thing, she went inside in the building without asking permission. That's a private property. She's trespassing. If she wants to do it, they got my number. I can open. I'm not hiding nothing. But she cannot open the door and go inside my building and taking pictures. I know they got the rights to stop any construction. I haven't done any construction until I got my final from LNI in 2017 for the electrical, and I stopped because I didn't want to spend the money in the street. Not because I don't want to finish it. I'm a builder. I can finish right away. But they have to give me the same municipal codes they do to the properties around. Why they applying it to me, not to the rest? They got new houses. People remodel complete homes and industrial zones when they're not supposed to be remodeled. They say because they're not passing the 30% of the value of the house. This guy, he paid $47,000 for the house. He sold it for $200,000. Just the AC unit is the 30%. They put siding, windows, roofing, painting, no sidewalk, no street improvements, and it's full of weed all over the house. And I got pictures here too. How come they only apply it to me?
Sir, I appreciate you being passionate about it. I understand that. But we can only talk and we can only speak to your properties tonight. So we're going to try to keep it to that, okay? I understand you're passionate about it, and I'll let you tell your side. Did you have, who is Mr. Madrigal?
He had a broken truck. He asked me to park in there, and he put it right here that he's running a business on the property, and he's not. They got no evidence to support that he's running a business. They're just making a citation, say he's running a business when it's not true. He did park the trucks, but when they told him, he moved out. The same day.
Do you know what day that was?
I don't remember. The same day that she gave him the letter, which is, I think
So
it was. I
the
got it
day
right
that
here.
she was there, his truck was only there for that day?
September 4.
These are the photos from September 4th when I drove by
Yeah,
the
that's when he
property
moved out.
and observed the violations. September 5th is the day that I returned to the property to post the notices and walked with Mr. Madrigal himself. And all these vehicles were there at the time, along with tires and oil and other things. He does have a business license out of Oregon for his trucking company. However, he was clearly repairing semi-trucks and doing other activities on there relating to his trucking business, which would require a license.
He's not running a business from there. They got no evidence that he's running a business.
Whose are all those other vehicles?
Who's who?
When you go back there?
They're his vehicles. He took them away right away.
Yeah, all those
Yes.
vehicles were there?
Yeah.
And they were there for one day?
No, he asked me to park it not one day. He moved it
Oh.
out in one day.
Oh, he moved out in one day?
Yes.
I got you. Okay. Why did he ask you to park all of his stuff there? What was the problem with where he had them originally?
He works seasonal here in Washington.
He was what?
He works seasonal for potato
Oh.
season.
Okay.
So because he is working in Washington seasonally, you need a place to park the vehicle. So he was using your place. Were you charging him rent for
No.
it?
No, I don't know.
So you just let him
Parking in the ground, yes.
in there.
Yes.
And do we need to have a license to park all those vehicles there?
If he's operating any portion of his business in the city of Pasco, then he's going to be required to have a license. So if he's parking his vehicles there for repair, for storage, for using them for deliveries, that's still considered a business activity. Mr. Madrigal has another residential property within city of Pasco where he was not permitted to have those semi-trucks and no license at that location either, and this is the location where they were being stored. In addition, not only does he not have a license, but because this building wasn't finished, Mr. Rodriguez had signed a final plan review letter stating in it, no use or occupancy of the structure and premises will be permitted until such time as a certificate of occupancy has been issued. So nobody can be occupying the structure or the premises, that property in general. He could not even be storing the vehicles there because that's in direct violation of the agreement he signed for his permit for that building.
What is occupying the building?
But they are the property though.
And the land, yeah, there was, not anymore. And like I say, if they allow me to do the same thing, they do
So,
the
so
people-
there, I understand other people's properties, but let's talk about yours. So as of today, there are 0 vehicles parked on the property?
How does I know? Yes. I don't drive by there every day.
So that's
This is yesterday morning.
yesterday morning. So can you tell us whose trucks, semi-truck, regular truck and trailer those are?
That was a truck that was, he was damaged when he parked in there. That trailer is my old trailer.
So that red semi is his.
That's the one he was working on it when he asked me to park it in there to work on it. Something broke down with the truck or whatever. And
So-
I never thought I was gonna be a problem parking in the ground, not because I want to do it on purpose or whatever.
So he
And-
didn't move it on September 6th then?
The rest of the stuff that you see in the picture, he moved out everything out. Because if you see the pictures, there was more stuff in there. He cleaned it up right away at the same time they told him.
What does he need to do for the dust control? Blowing dust and soil erosion control?
He needs to remove all the vehicles and all the items that are on the exterior of the shop, everything that's on the ground, and he can apply Tactifier, Hydroseed, anything that keeps it in place throughout the winter.
I see.
And that would suffice for the time being.
And where the trailer and the 2 trucks are parked right now, is that approved parking surface?
It's inside the property line.
It's all dirt. So none of that, according to the permit application agreement that he signed, none of that is approved.
Thank you.
It looks like when we saw the other pictures of the inside of the building, that you weren't really, if it was gonna be like a storage, kind of semi-office type space, it was almost looking like you weren't too far off from having that completed.
Well, the building is.
Are you interested, are you gonna do that?
I wanted to do it. If they allow
Because-
me to do it, just whatever asphalt is necessary after the sidewalk and curbing. I don't want to spend $50,000 on the street.
I understand.
All of the right-of-way improvements are enforced by the engineering department. We do have specific codes and development standards in chapter 12 that refer to all of those. That improvements are required at the time the adjoining property is developed, which would include still a pole building going on the property, even if it was not completed inside. And there are properties surrounding this one which have been required to put in those improvements in recent years. And Mr. Rodriguez was notified on several occasions that his deferral agreement was denied when this application was being reviewed back in 2016 and again in 2017. So these are all the highlighted locations are where we do have sidewalk, curb and gutter. Frontage improvements were made because they were part of the requirements of the permits at that time. Most of these have been done between 2010 and 2017. And then on 829 East B in the lower left corner over there that's highlighted, that is the current structure that is going in, and frontage improvements are being required at that location as well.
Just to make it clear, I don't have a problem to do the sidewalk and the curb and gutter and driveway approach. I don't want to do the asphalt. Nobody's down there. Why do I have to spend $50,000 on asphalt? They want me to rip off this half of the street and make it newer. And I don't think it's a municipal code.
Unfortunately, Board, that's something Mr. Rodriguez has to take up with the engineering department.
Right.
I can apply for the sidewalks and curb and gutter anytime, but I just don't want to spend $50,000 on the street that was already there.
So can I ask, how come you have not submitted a permit application?
Because I came in and trying to talk to the engineer department, and they didn't want to allow me to do just whatever asphalt that was necessary after the sidewalk. They want me to do the whole half street in the corner, and I was irritated because the neighborhood around, like I say, nobody has the same rules, just me. I pay my same taxes as everybody else.
Unfortunately, at this time, there are a lot of mixed uses in that area because it's an industrial zone, but we still have some single-family homes that were in there from before. So as those uses change, we move back over to the industrial, and any new structures are required to put in those improvements. So there are a lot of areas where we don't have the frontage improvements, but it's because they're existing single-family residences. Once those change, they'll be required. And again, that's something that the engineering department would have to approve or deny. We cannot get involved in that portion of it.
So the city recommendation is giving you 10 days,
10 days for what?
10 days to get that
Get what?
fixed. 10 days to remove the weeds, the vehicle
I don't have
parts,
no weeds.
and the debris throughout.
I can get out whatever is outside. Yeah, it's clean. The car, I can take it tomorrow. I don't have a problem to take it out. And I don't have a problem to do the sidewalk and curb and gutter and driveway approach. But they don't want me to do just whatever the rest of the people doing it.
Okay, so according to this, 10 days. So you're telling me that you don't have to do anything, it's all done.
In 10 days, I can take everything outside. Or in 10 days, I can finish it. They let me do my sidewalk only and finish the asphalt. I can finish in 10 days.
Okay,
But another half of the street.
but you need to work with the engineers.
Somebody have to tell them to cooperate because they say they're denying it. I don't have a problem to do my sidewalk and everything. In 10 days, I can have it ready.
I'm only requiring him to get the permit in 10 days, have that application submitted. If there's a discussion that needs to be had with the engineering department, it can be done at the time the application is made. In order to come into compliance, you have to submit the application.
Oh, I can
now.
do any time, like I said, but I'm just not happy the way they treated me with the municipal codes.
So can you come in tomorrow and apply for that permit?
I have no problem.
Okay.
Can do it at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Perfect.
Because it looks like, you're gonna have to clear everything out. You can't have anything going on the property at all until it's taken care of and you have the permit and all that.
Like I say, I hardly even drive by because I know I have nothing there. But I want to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem. I'm a builder. I can do it right away.
Okay.
The problem is the way they apply municipal codes with me.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like the city wants to work with you to a point. They want to give you 10 days from the time you get the notice. But they also want to make sure you get it done.
Oh, I get it
because
done.
on top of, okay, all right,
I get it done as long as I don't have to do the street.
okay. So you'll come in tomorrow and you'll get with the engineering department and get that stuff rolling.
No problem.
Just to clarify though, the board is not granting you the approval of not installing the street. That's
No.
something you're gonna have to work out with the engineering department.
Okay. If it's more than 10 days, if they require a new set of plans, but the engineer is gonna be by the time the engineer finishes the set of plans. The sidewalk and everything, it's not gonna take 10 days with the engineer. I apply, but whenever the engineer give me the plans.
Right, right. I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
They're not granting that.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I can finish the 10 days,
Okay.
sidewalks and everything, but not the street.
Because I'll tell you this, I do know we've been doing this a long time now, seems like a really long time sometimes, but the city really does work hard to try to work with you. They want to try to make it work out. They want to get your attention, and they have your attention, but now that they have your attention, they are willing to work with you.
I wanted to,
I'm
since a long time
positive.
ago, I asked him
Okay.
more than once to engineer
Okay.
department. I can, since I was Doyle, there's different people working here, and nobody
understand.
want to cooperate with me.
I gotcha. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, you can have a seat, we appreciate it. There be no further evidence to be presented. I determine the record complete. The hearing is now closed and no additional evidence will be permitted. The board will now discuss the charges, facts, and evidence presented, then we will render a decision. First off, do we agree by preponderance of the evidence that the city has proven that a violation of the Pasco Municipal Code has occurred, and may I have a motion? One way or the other, please.
I move that the board, having heard the case and facts presented, and by the preponderance of the evidence presented, find the respondent in violation of the Pasco Municipal Code.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, let's come up with a motion to determine the date of compliance and appropriate monetary penalty, if any. So it sounds like the city's recommendation will work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to give him those 10
And that
days?
gives him, he seemed very confident he
That
could
he
get
could
it
do
done
it
in
in
10 days, yeah.
Okay.
Mary, you want to take this one?
Hey, I move that the city of I think that's how I'm gonna do it. Let me better go back and double check. Okay, thank you. I move that the city's recommendation that Marco and Adelina Acevedo and Octavio Rodriguez shall immediately discontinue all business activities, vacate the structure, and be given 10 days to remove the weeds, vehicles, parts, and debris throughout, and apply appropriate dust control measures, and apply for a building permit or pay a penalty of $500 per day for 10 days.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Sir, you'll get official notice in the mail within 10 days. We appreciate you coming. Thank you very much. Can we hear
Mr.
the next
Chair?
case, please?
Mr. Chair, our next case is CEB 2019-0990. Mr. Poven, please present your case.
I have supplied the board with pictures of the original and current property conditions with the date clearly marked on the pictures. The property known as 6020 West Park Street was inspected on 9/10/2019 Violations of the Pasco Municipal Code were observed, and a correction notice was issued on 9/16 of 2019 for the violations listed on the screen. On 9/23/2019, Mr. Broadway Jr. called to schedule a code board meeting because he would like to contest the code board violations prior to receiving a notice of civil violation. On 9/10, these are the photos that were taken for the inoperable vehicles. On the left, the vehicle is missing a taillight and also is unlicensed. And on the right, you can see that vehicle is in major disrepair. The tires are off the rims. It does not look operable. And in addition to that, there was an appliance that was being stored, either a washer or a dryer in the back. This is also some pictures of a recreational vehicle that was plugged in. One of the violations was using an extension cord to supply permanent power to a recreational vehicle. Re-inspection of the property revealed that it was still in violation of the Pasco Municipal Code, and a notice of civil violation was issued on 10/17 in 2019. The property owners were legally notified via certified mail on 10/21 of the conditions which I believe to be in violation of the Pasco Municipal Code. Violations still being that are existing or an inoperable vehicle, a vehicle is still unlicensed, and missing taillights. In addition, the extension cord is still going out to the RV being used as a permanent source of power. Based on the final inspection of the property, which was completed on 11/5/2019, it is, in my opinion, that the property is not in compliance. The City of Pasco recommends that Rock Edward Broadway Jr. shall be given 10 days to correct any remaining violations or pay a penalty of $50 a day or $50 per day for 10 days.
Who'd like to be heard in this case? Come on up, sir. Thank you for coming. If you'd state your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Rock. I live at 6020 West Park Street.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
Well, everybody plugs their RV in, tens of batteries, you know. As far as that, I don't understand why there's a problem with my RV being plugged in. If you go anywhere around us, everybody that has an RV has it plugged in. So as far as that one, you know, we own the property, you know. It says owner on top of your guys' fact sheet. It doesn't say City of Pasco, it says me. You know, so I don't get why the City of Pasco thinks it can come and tell me what to do with my power, with my extension cord or anything, you know. And as far as the inoperable vehicle, it doesn't need to be licensed because it's not on the road, it's on my property. It's in my driveway. I didn't sign an HOA agreement. When I bought the property, I didn't come to the City of Pasco and sign any agreements with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So
what are you doing when you have it plugged in? What's the
it just
purpose
tends
of
the
having it
batteries,
plugged
just
in?
keeps the batteries charged up.
Is anybody staying in it?
No, God, no. That's our home away from home. We use it during the summer, every now and then during the winter. We've had it since we lived there 7 years now. It's been plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just to clarify, you're not challenging whether or not these are true. It says you're challenging the actual
Yes, the
the
actual
legitimacy
code.
of them. Okay, of the PMC.
I can understand if somebody was staying in there, if it was living in there, if, you know, water was hooked up or nothing's hooked up except for the tender for the battery.
Mm-hmm.
I want to let the board know that the International Fire Code states that nor such extension cords should be subject to environmental damage or physical impact. The extension cord shall be used only with the portable appliances. So one thing applied in, or, appliance used temporarily for 90 days at the most, is what the International Fire Code covers. So since it's exposed to the environment, even if it's weather, rated, it's still going to be exposed. It's still being used as a permanent power source, and it's still subject to potential impact by tripping, running over, which then eventually can degrade it, pinch it. They're really easy to create a fire safety issue. And tending the batteries, yes, we can understand that, but unfortunately it becomes a fire hazard. There's other options. You can supply power out, get a permit through Labor and Industries with a permitted cover, directly plugs in to keep any water or weather exposure directly to it. That's an option for Mr. Broadway Jr.
It's not a permanent source either. If I unplug it and we move it and it comes back, it's used, it's not permanent. That's the same extension cord we take with us when we go to wherever we go.
So approximately how many days of the year is it plugged into the wall there? Just
During the
ballpark.
summertime, we're out every weekend almost. During the winter, we probably move it 2-3 times. But that's the time you want it plugged in, because that's the time you're not getting the batteries charged.
The International Fire Code covers any sort of permanent or long-term electrical needs required permanent wiring. So,
You don't permanently
12
wire in a trailer.
Sir, what he meant was you run a conduit from the house to a pedestal where you directly plug it in. Not directly wire it, directly plug it in. So there's no extension cords. There's only your main lead.
It'd be the same thing.
No, because your extension cords have to be at least a 50 amp rated
And
cord.
they are, and it's a 35 amp plug-in. So
Okay. They're supposed to be a 50 amp rated cord, and they're not supposed to be running for that long of a distance for that long of a period. That's why the RV plug is, or the RV wire is a lot thicker than anything that we buy. Or if you do buy it, it's really expensive. So an easy compromise would be run a plug out to the west side of your building, or the west side of the RV.
yes,
My direction might be a little off, but that'd be the easiest fix. Another fix for you would be push it back a little bit more, put a 6-foot fence up.
so if I had a fence in front of it,
As long as it's back behind the house or on the side of the house.
it's
you
on
have
the
a
side of the
6-foot
house.
And you have a 6-foot fence in front, and it's permitted. You run an extension or a conduit over there. It's Labor and Industries, then you're fine.
So basically, this is a revenue generating thing that you guys, because I got to permit this, I got to permit that, I got to
No.
do this, I got to do that.
Well, hold
in
on
mind-
here a
keep in mind-
second. This is not, okay. I appreciate that you're upset. There are certain rules, there are certain codes that we abide by. How did Mr. Broadway get on your radar to start with?
So the city received a complaint about the property.
All right.
And it was anonymous.
So they're not going, with all due respect, sir, they're not going door to door just picking on you. Somebody complained to them.
Yeah, it was anonymous, and it was probably the people down the street that
Okay,
just,
okay. Well, the fact is you got on their radar. And now I appreciate the fact because we have people, you're not the only one that's come to us and said, hey, how come my neighbors have this, can do this, and I can't? We can only speak to your property and what you own at the time, okay?
correct.
Because it's driven by a complaint initially, and you know
Right.
how it is. Once you get on the radar, you're on the radar, right?
But
once they get in
once
your
again,
yard, once they get and they
it's-
start looking around and they see other things that happen,
and it's my property.
the
once
genie's
again.
out of the bottle, right?
Right,
You
but
can't
once
put it
again,
back
it's my
in.
property.
I understand that.
City.
But the fact is that there are codes and there's rules and things that you need to do. Let's talk about the vehicles in the front again.
The one vehicle.
Is it running or not running, or what's
No,
going
it's
on with it?
It's my project car.
Okay. Now, what would he have to do with that to satisfy the city?
So in order for it to be operable, it'd have to be legally capable of driving on the road. Our municipal code does not permit an inoperable vehicle, which is defined either in major disrepair or unlicensed. So if it doesn't have a tail light, it's going to get pulled over. It's not legally able to be driven on the road. If it doesn't have updated tabs, it's not going to be legally able to be driven on the road. Or another alternative would be to store it behind a side obscuring 6-foot fence or within an enclosed building
Which I'd have to permit to build the 6-foot fence, right?
Or the garage, sir.
or the garage,
I got stuff in my garage.
fully enclosed building. So another option is instead of getting it licensed for a daily driver, you could do a collector's plate, which is, a one-time fee. And once he gets a tail light and he's legally able to drive on the road and has a collector's plate, yes, it could be parked there.
So you're telling me I can't have any vehicles that are on my property that are unlicensed?
Per our municipal
There's
code.
a city
You can
code.
have one.
No, you
Once
can have,
again, we
you
need
can
to
have them on your
visit
property.
those codes because, once again, I own the house, I own the car, that needs to be looked into. It is not on the road, it's over 20 feet off the middle of the road, so it's nowhere near the city of Pasco's property.
So you can store those vehicles on your property, though. You can have non-functioning vehicles on your property. You just have to either have to be in an enclosed building or behind a fence. So there is opportunity to have non-functioning vehicles, right?
So I have to get a permit to build a fence.
Yep.
Which, once again,
I know.
Thankfully, that's a minimum fee permit. It's $56.
and who's
That's-
that money go to? The city of Pasco. That's crazy.
Or you can put it in your garage.
I didn't sign any HOA agreements or anything.
Sir, every city is very similar to this.
Well, I've done this before with the city of Portland, and once again, the codes need to be revised. Codes need to be addressed or figure something out.
Oh, I think we're all in agreement that you have a frustration. It's your property. I get that, but it's you got on the radar. Somebody served a complaint on you, and whoever that was, we don't know. And I understand your frustration, but now here we are.
It's the developers down the street. They're
Okay.
going down, and they don't live there.
I know. I
If my
understand.
neighbors have an issue, they come, they knock on my door, I fix the issue.
Yeah,
That's how it's supposed to go.
yeah.
But somebody that doesn't live there and wants to sell property down the street, they don't come knock on my door.
Right.
So, once again, that's not my,
I understand. What can we do? What can we do? And how much time would it take for you to accomplish what the city is asking you to do? What are we looking at here?
I don't feel I should need to. I mean, so I have to permit to build a fence. And as far as the taillights are sitting in the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not registering a car that I'm not gonna drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's off the city streets. It's sitting in my driveway. Taillights were pulled off because I was getting ready to sand it down and get it ready for paint, but
If you were going to build a fence, how would you do it? What would you do?
I'd get pallets and throw them up. Doesn't say what kind of fence it has to be.
Has to be an approved material. Pallets will not work, sir. More than willing to hear you out on any other options of material, but can't use pallets.
And it's gonna go across from my garage to the other side of the thing, or does it have to be a certain footage from?
If it's from the face of the garage towards the west, that's fine.
Well, I don't feel I'm in any violation of anything that I didn't sign an agreement with when I purchased the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you guys decide, we don't want brown houses in Pasco, let's pass a statute and then everybody has to paint their house? Is that how that works? I mean,
No, the thing is, first off, we're just volunteers up here, right? Did you know that?
Yeah,
Okay. And so we don't have a horse in the race here. And so I'm a homeowner. We all own homes here in different parts of town. And so I appreciate your passion and all those things. But the fact is that now that we have to address this. And what the city wants to do, Mary, what's the city looking for here?
10 days.
To give you
To fix
10
it.
days to correct it or put a fence up, or pay $50 for 10 days, which it seems to me it would even be cheaper to put a fence up.
well, it would.
Now, we would
But
even.
the problem is, then that's just letting the city do whatever the city wants to do.
I know, man.
Which is the problem.
I
But
gotcha.
every city has city codes, and we live in the city. We chose to live in the city, so we do have to follow the city codes. Because if we didn't have any city codes, what would Pasco look like? So that's why we have city codes. And as homeowners, we need to follow those city codes.
Well, I don't agree with
Otherwise,
that.
I know, and that's your prerogative, but we do have city codes, and we do have to follow our
And so
city
how are those
codes.
codes made? How are those codes brought up, and who decides those?
Well, we don't. We have people that sit on boards and work on
And they
those.
shouldn't. It should be brought to the people, not just the board who decides what, the rules should be.
Now, here's I'll give you a suggestion. There's a couple things, and if you decide that this is the, that you want to make a point, I completely get it. Okay. However, if you needed a little extra time more than the 10 days to get a fence together and put it up, we'd probably be able to work with you on that. But because you don't agree, and I understand, we get you, but because you don't agree doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be fixed in some way or there'll be some kind of a penalty. So that's what I'm trying to do, is figure out a way in the middle here that maybe we can, that doesn't involve just leaving it the way it is, that we can come to some kind of a solution on it that you'd feel okay with.
All right, give me 30 days, I'll have a fence up.
All right, fair enough. And it's from the time you get noticed, or you get the notice in the mail. So it's actually would be a little longer than that if we agree on that.
Okay?
So the fence, I just want clarification from the city. The fence won't address the extension cord though, correct?
It will, because it'll be behind a
It'll be
fence.
behind the fence.
That's what he said.
So it's still going to be a fire hazard, so you still have to have an approved plug-in installed or disconnect it.
So, and I have a question about the extension cord, and please excuse my ignorance. I'm a boat owner, so I use my boat, just during the summer, and I only put my battery on the tender before I'm getting ready to go out in the summer. Is there a reason why it has to be hooked up all year long? I'm just for my own education
Well,
here.
during the winter, it has a heater that goes underneath that keeps the pipes from freezing. It doesn't draw enough wattage or anything.
So you don't winterize, okay?
Well, no, we
Okay.
winterize, but you still got the poop tank, and you still got the, residual water and stuff like that. It just keeps it all, and then the batteries, if you let them keep dying, then you have to buy new batteries.
Okay. All right.
Is it just one car? I thought I saw a towboat
Yeah,
out there.
the second one has been removed.
Yeah, that was my son's. He took it. I told
Right.
him as soon as
Oh,
we
okay.
got
So-
this, I said, that's not a problem. That was
Okay.
his project.
I like your motorcycle.
Well, thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else, sir?
Nope,
We appreciate you coming tonight.
thank you.
We get you. All right, thank you very much. There being no further evidence to be presented, I determine the record complete. The hearing is now closed and no additional evidence will be permitted. The board will now discuss the charges, facts, and evidence presented. Then we will render a decision. First off, do we agree by preponderance of the evidence the city has proven that a violation of the Pasco Municipal Code has occurred? And may I have a motion, please?
I move that the board, having heard the case and the facts presented, and by preponderance of the evidence presented, find the respondent in violation of the Pasco Municipal Code.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye. The motion carries. I say we give them the 30 days.
I'm fine with the 30 days.
Okay. Who wants to do that?
Okay, I got this one.
Okay.
Okay, I move a compliance time frame of 30 days and a monetary penalty of $50 per day be imposed for a period of 10 days in the case if this time frame expires and the property is still in violation.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Sir, you'll get official notice in the mail within 10 days. We appreciate you coming, folks. Do we have any other cases tonight?
No, sir.
Okay. Do we have any amendments or dismissals to the resolution?
No, sir.
Okay, who would like to make a motion on the resolution?
I move that the board approve resolution number 11-2019 as amended, finding that the code violations have been corrected and may be dismissed, deferring action on certain cases until property notification is made, accepting voluntary correction agreements and assessing penalties and imposing timeframes on certain cases.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Do we have a report from staff tonight?
Not tonight, sir.
Okay. Is there any other business?
No, sir.
All right. There being no further business before the Pasco Code Enforcement Board, this meeting is declared adjourned at 8:01.